So after you've exported your TIFF, or sorry, your mosaic dataset to a TIFF, you'll end up with this layer. Um, in this case, this has already been georeferenced to the Bing Maps satellite image. Um, so unfortunately, well, I don't want to get rid of my control points. So just imagine that this hasn't been georeferenced, and I'll go through this step as if it wasn't, or I'll just show you how I got these control points. In order to add the Bing base map, you'll go up here, go to add data from ArcGIS Online. You have to search for it, and then press this add button right here, and it'll show up. I don't think you need to sign in for your ArcGIS Online account, but yeah. So I used the Bing Maps satellite image because it was a lot higher resolution than the default Esri base map, at least for Ottawa. Um, who knows, by this time next year it could be updated, but for now I just use Bing Maps. So you're going to zoom in. I think I started with Parliament. I think it was important for me to georeference this area based on, I wanted to get this area as close to the match as possible, because when people use this app, they're going to say, hey, I want to see what Parliament looked like, or hey, I want to see what Ottawa U or this train station looks like now. So it's important to look for, I guess, tourist spots or high interest, high traffic areas in order to find as best of a match as possible. Because in the end, you're gonna have some areas that won't match as possible if they're farther away from a control point. And rather than wasting time just making as many control points as possible, you're just gonna sort of cheat a bit and only get a close match to the areas that you want. Um, and that's not saying that other areas have an absolutely horrible match. Like, I'll just zoom into this rural area right here. So rural areas were harder to match because a lot of times you'll be looking for a building and hoping that there is one, but um, oftentimes they'll just build like a mall or a baseball or diamond right here and completely replace the older area with it. Uh, so the 417 right here, just didn't exist. It was in the case of downtown, it was a railway, but in this area right here, it was a tiny road. So in this case, you're gonna find where the road would be today. It won't be as precise, but in this case, I just got to line up as best I could, and even then, like, it's not terrible, but for me anyway, I just wanted to focus on downtown because unless somebody lives here, chances are they're not going to be interested in this area. They're going to be interested in the downtown core because that's basically the only areas back in the 1930s that was fully developed. So yeah, I started with the Rio Canal right here. I just put a point right here. You turn off your TIFF and then add the same point in the same spot as the satellite image. And the transformation method I used was, I'll just show you right here, the spline one. Um, I felt it matched the best. Oh, I had a control point. So when you're using the app, um, the swipe widget doesn't really work if the areas aren't really well matched, and I didn't like how these other transformations worked. It is possible, like, you can try, but in this case, I use spline. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of spline is that you seem to really have to create a lot of control points, but in the end, it really pays off for how good of a match you're going to get.